Tash?
Yes, I'm here. Hello?
Yes,
Hello,
I
yes,
hear you.
fantastic.
Can you hear us?
I can, but I hear an echo.
Oh, okay. Can you guys work on that in the control room? What's on your mind, though?
Hold on, wait a minute.
Okay.
Okay, never mind, I got it.
You had your stream on, didn't you?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Right.
So hi. The
Hi.
topic that I wanted to talk about is whether or not I should come out as being an atheist. I'm at this point pretty okay with the fact that I am. I've been just doing research for months and have kind of come to the conclusion that none of this makes any type of sense in terms of believing in a God.
Well,
and I've
first,
also
let me say
accepted
congratulations.
Thank you. And I've also accepted that there's really no acceptable kind of sufficient proof of there being a God. But my whole thing is whether or not to come out. It's not necessarily that I've been asked by anyone or anything like that. The problem is more so kind of feeling like you're living a lie. And just awkward situations like people saying, oh, well, God will do this or Jesus will do this. And I just have to kind of sit there awkwardly. And it's like, well, do I come out and say, well, actually, I don't believe that because I'm an atheist or that's not what I believe. It's just kind of a hard question. And nobody in my life is like super religious. But at the same time, I think that people would just find it kind of strange. And so I'm just struggling with that.
Well, I mean, obviously the answer is different for everybody, and naturally here on the show, we're big fans of coming out if you're able to, but it can be risky depending on your situation. First of all, it says here that you're an African-American woman, is that right?
Yes, yeah. That's part of what's making it so difficult because it's so pervasive in the community that it's like, I don't even know if that's a can of worms that I really should open.
So is that because there would be social pressures, like special social pressures against atheists, as far as you can guess? Yes,
because it's everywhere. Like I've heard the research about, well, everywhere within the African American community. I mean, you have people who have never even opened the Bible or read any of it, don't go to church, but will argue with you up and down that, you're an atheist, that you're going to hell, is whatever. And it's like you don't even know what the Bible or any religious text for that matter is even saying about hell. So how can you tell me where it is that you think that I'm going?
Yeah.
Did you used to be a churchgoer?
Kind of. I just really kind of liked the church that I was going to, but I wasn't like a lot of people that I know in the Black community. I was, I have a family that believed in God, but it wasn't necessarily religious. Didn't go to church, or anything like that. I kind of started going a few years ago when I was at a kind of an interesting place in my life. It wasn't that I didn't believe. At that time, I did believe, I just didn't go to church. So I have kind of, I was going kind of off and on for a while, and then I started going regularly. And I just felt like it was a time in my life for me to really try to figure out whether I really believe this, because well, as it's been discussed on the show, I believed it, but there were parts of religion and believing in God that never made sense to me.
Sure.
I just kind of suppressed them, and then I got to a point where I was like, I just can't suppress this anymore.
Right.
Like it just doesn't make any sense. And that was the catalyst of the research that I began doing a couple of months ago, which ultimately led me to atheism. But I kind of feel like I'm living a lie. And like I said, nobody is particularly pressuring anything on me, but I feel like once I come out, like that's going to be it, or people are going to think that I'm strange or weird for not believing. And but I don't want to. I'm struggling with feeling like it's living a lie and being in that awkward situation.
Lynnea, do you have something to say?
Yeah, so that definitely sounds like a tough situation, and it's a situation that a lot of non-believers have been in their lives, and there's a very good likelihood that other people are also feeling that same way, and it definitely helps to see someone else be brave and kind of take that first step and talk about it and be open about it, and you can be in that place to help inspire other people to be more honest with themselves or to self-examine. And going to be honest, that's a tough place to go, to be the trendsetter and lead and kind of be that example, because you're also going to get a lot of pushback from people who are kind of scared of as you said, it's a big part of the community, and so it feels like maybe coming out as atheist or being as an atheist can threaten or maybe damage that community. And so if you do, come out, and this is a choice that's completely up to you, if you feel safe, if you feel comfortable, if you are, just totally up to you. If you do come out, I wouldn't do it as a reaction to something else. So if someone says like, "Oh, God bless you," just kind of let it roll and bring it up on your own, completely separate or completely unrelated to that. Say something like, "Oh, I went to an event, or I was listening to this atheist speaker, or I just want you to know, this isn't something that I'm feeling connected with anymore." And just kind of frame it as, this is a personal thing that I'm going through, and it's not related to you, and I'm not trying to pressure you to give up your faith or anything. It'll definitely be perceived by that, by some people, but that's kind of the thing that you get to decide based on how safe you feel, how comfortable you feel, if there's any kind of financial worries that you have, because as you said, you do want to feel like people like you for who you are, and you don't want to have to lie about who you are. And there's a relief that comes with being able to be yourself.
Let me add to that. So on the positive side, my sales pitch for people coming out as atheists is basically that, as I'm sure you're aware, atheists get a bad rap, and a lot of that is that people feel free to badmouth them because they don't know any atheists, and so they build up this sort of mythology about how they're bad people, and they at best, they're kind of Spock-like, coldly logical people, and at worst, they are flat-out immoral people who want to sin. And just the more people who are out as atheists, the harder it is for people to avoid the situation where they're like, "Oh, I know Tash, and she's a good person, so maybe what I thought about atheists is wrong." And I would also add that as a woman and a person of color, it is especially good for you to be available and visible, because atheism has this unfortunate tendency to be geared towards white men.
Yeah, not that you need to feel like
don't feel
need to
pressured by that.
You need to be like the ambassador or whatever.
Right, but there are probably a lot of reasons why it's geared toward white men, and one of them is that being in a generally majority and powerful position in other ways, we can afford to come out in as something specific that is an unpopular point of view, because we don't have additional unfair social stigma attached to us. But it is great and encouraging to see more women and more people of color not only feel comfortable talking about atheism, but becoming involved in their communities. And those are all excellent reasons why I would like to see you come out. Having said that, what Lynnea said still stands. if there are risks for you coming out, and it sounds like you have general worries but not specific concerns about any backlash, but if you feel that you're in danger of anything like losing your job or being cut off financially from someone you depend on,
or
then
just emotionally.
Right, yeah, or emotionally, losing the support of your friends. You can always make new friends.
That's my biggest concern.
Yeah,
I'm not concerned about, like, I'm financially independent. That's that's not my worry at all.
Well,
but
good.
I can see how it could be for someone who was in that situation. My thing is kind of what you've already alluded, or not even alluded, what you actually said, which is just coming out, and then like people were like, oh, I can't, you don't believe in God anymore, like I can't hang out with you. Because even when I did believe in God, I didn't have bad things to say about atheism or atheists. I just thought that it was weird. I was like, how do you believe in nothing? That's strange. And that was and that was the extent of it, because I have friends who are atheists, and I'm so liberal that it really doesn't matter. I'm just, don't try to force anything on me. I won't try to force anything on you. It becomes religion and we're cool, and that's it. But I know that not everybody is that same way. So I've been kind of like closeted.
right. Well,
About it. Like I've been like slowly purposefully retreating. Hello?
Yeah.
No, I
That's
was finished. I was saying I just been purposefully retreating.
Yeah. Well, coming out doesn't have to be an all-at-once process. I mean, I think that if you would like to, you could start by thinking about the friends that you have now and think who would likely be the most accepting. And maybe talking to that friend about your change of mind could at least give you a first pass at finding out how people react when you talk to them.
I've done that, actually.
Oh, good.
I've done that with one person, and we're still friends, but we haven't talked about it since. We haven't talked about it in weeks. But it was interesting because I just kind of wanted to toss it at this person, and they were like shocked. They were like, wow, like this is like completely different from when I first met you, and even completely different from a few months ago. And then we were kind of going back and forth, and they were trying to, say why they believe in it, and that was cool. But I was telling them, it's just not going to change. It's not going to change my mind. But even when I was religious, I didn't want anybody to try to change my mind. I'm one of those people, if I change my mind, I'm going to do it myself. But that's just
and I think that's actually one of the worries that people kind of have when you tell them that, oh, I'm an atheist, because that immediately forces them, not through any action of your own, but just the way human brains work. It forces them to self-examine. Oh, she's an atheist. Is there something maybe wrong with my religion? And it kind of forces this crisis moment. And I think a good way to kind of soften that blow and not push that internal crisis and just keep it about you and about your identity is to frame it in a way of bringing up these worries to your friends and say, listen, I have something that I'm kind of worried about other people judging me or disliking me, and I want to confide this in you. I've stopped believing in God, and I'm kind of worried about getting backlash. Do you have any advice about how to talk to other people about this? And that immediately forces them not in a position where they feel like they have to defend their faith, but, oh, how do I help my friend who is in this position?
Yeah, and I have another friend who I'm pretty sure she knows, because we were hanging out a couple weeks ago, and she was like, oh, like all I had told her is that I no longer believe in religion. I haven't come out to her about it. And then, like, we were hanging out together the week before last, and she was like, oh, I just prayed in front of you. And I was like, I wonder if she knows that this goes beyond me just not believing in religion, but in me not believing in a God as well. But I think I've gotten to that point where I kind of need to. I'm just like kind of
Yeah.
dreading it, but a little bit.
I have one more suggestion, and then I think we're going to let you go and move on to other callers, if that's okay with you.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
We talk to a lot of people who are in the same situation as you, but they're like something like in the deep South, and are not only worried about their individual friends, but are worried that the entire support structure or the entire social structure of where they live is based around church. You live in New York. New York is notoriously kind of liberal and kind of godless as states go, and New York City in particular. And I don't have the information in front of me, but if I were you, I would also look up atheist social groups and get together with them and see if you enjoy hanging out with them too, because you are not bound to the current set of friends that you have now.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch part of that. Are you saying am I try hanging out with individuals who are atheists?
I'm saying that you should look up atheist social groups in your organization, just look up maybe Center for Inquiry or just atheist or secular or humanist groups.
I follow Black non-believers on Facebook.
Oh, well, that's great.
They're really cool.
Yeah, we love them.
Like slowly, like trying to integrate into it. It's just a matter of like.
But I'm talking also about seeking out in-person meetings with people in your area.
Yeah, I remember that actually Black non-believers, they were in the area a couple of months ago, but at that point I wasn't ready. Like I was, because it wasn't kind of just a straight descent into atheism. It was like, okay, well, no, now I don't believe in religion, but I'm still a theist. And then I realized that just like believing in a God or believing in the religious text, I didn't have a reason
but I mean, not
just
Black non-believers, but any atheist groups who happen to be permanently based in New York City is something that you should look into.
Yeah.
I'll continue doing
to
that.
be fair, a lot of atheist groups are old white guys.
Yeah,
and they're,
like I said.
That doesn't bother me.
Okay. Well, I think you should check that out. And thank you very much for your call.
Thank you for taking my call. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Let's queue up Mustafa in New Jersey, and we're going to wait a couple minutes to get Mustafa. And in the meantime, we're going to talk a little bit about what you want to talk about.
I just wanted to say real fast that you like to tease me that my strategies tend to be more just burn it to the ground.
We were just having that conversation a couple days ago.
Just burn all those bridges and get out and do something new. But didn't recommend that.
That's true.
So,
I don't mean always.
No, but it's always an option.
Right. I think we are agreed that if there are family or friends that you have who are particularly unsupportive after you come out, then you don't have to keep up those friendships, even with your own family, if you don't want to. All relationships with people are voluntary, and you should hold on to them only as long as they are good for you.
Yes.
Is that a fair thing to say?
Yes.